Hey everybody, this is kind of a late Testimony Tuesday. I actually recorded a Devo earlier and then went through all the process of editing it and saving as a draft and putting hashtags. And I realize it's Tuesday and I do testimonies on Tuesday. So today, I wanted to talk to you guys about my grandparents, my mother's mother and my father's father. I never thought of it that way before. It's kind of funny how that worked out. A few years ago, they both got very ill. My grandmother had been struggling with things that was related to she was having weight issues and mobility issues, and she'd been kind of sick for a while. My grandfather, he has unfortunately just all sorts of problems with his heart. They have stents in it and a pacemaker, and it's basically just like a little robot heart in there at this point that's just pumping away for him. I'm making hot dogs while we're doing this. But they got sick right at the same time a few years ago. They actually both were in the hospital, probably about a month apart. My grandfather first. I got that call that everyone's kind of scared of, where your parents call you and they say, "Hey, it's 4 a.m. You need to come and say goodbye to Grandpa." I came in there and Grandpa was hooked up to all these machines and just not doing good. It's that you never want to see someone you love like that, but that's where we were. And I just remember the whole family just being down, just kind of almost at that point where it seemed like everyone mostly accepted what seemed really inevitable at that point, where the doctors were telling us was inevitable, like this is happening. And there was a point where the whole family, there's probably 20 of us in there. It's my grandfather, my grandmother, their brothers and sisters that are still with us, and all of my cousins, my brother, my father, of course, and his older brother. And someone said we should pray. And funny enough, my older cousin, she is a minister, and she looked at me almost like, "I have a feeling you're supposed to do this," and I did. And I prayed my heart out, just praying for, in those situations, I pray that God gives us understanding and gives us His presence. We can't keep people alive, but if it's within your will, Lord, let me have my grandfather a little bit longer. And we kind of like said our goodbyes. We were there forever. And I looked over, even my older brother's an atheist, and he started crying. And everyone's crying. I'm not picking on him. I was crying. We're all crying. And it was just like kind of this like really beautiful moment where like the Spirit had just filled the room. And that peace immediately came on all of us. Believers, non-believers, men, women, children, everybody knew that God was there with us. With absolutely zero doubt. And my grandpa lived. Tubes in his mouth, face, fully hooked up to all these life support machines. He had went septic, and just like everything that could have possibly went wrong in that situation and went wrong, and he lived. He's still alive. He's still with us. It was a God thing. My grandmother, like I was saying earlier, she's had all sorts of medical problems, and she was also right there on death's door in the hospital, hooked up to the machines. And my mom's side of the family is just not as close to gather in a group like that. But I ended up swinging by there, and it was just me and Grandma, and she wasn't even conscious. But man, I haven't seen her in years, and I just wept. And I prayed the same thing to God, but then I said, "God, she's never met my child." At the time, McKenna was our only kid, and she was probably like 8 months old. And I was like, I want her to meet her great grandbaby. I want McKenna to meet her great grandma. And I was like, honestly, that's kind of selfish, right? Like, what I want should never, ever trump what God has planned. But it was another one of those things. If it aligns with your will, Lord, please. She came back. She came back. She lived for probably another 3 months. And she met my wife. I got to see her. I got to tell her I love her. She met McKenna. She got to hold her. It was beautiful. Grandma did end up, return to the Father, and she had a great relationship with Christ and had accepted him as her Lord and Savior. I'm at peace with that. But it's just a beautiful thing to see these prayers that got answered. And I know not all prayers got answered, but those two did. And I'm so grateful for that. God bless, guys.